So once you have that in your mind that you are going to go all out, full bore into whatever you're doing, there's a lot of things that have to change. You have to start, we had to kind of start looking at our friend circle and deciding, not to be, mean or anything like that, but, who are we going to start, devoting a lot of our time and stuff to, and so we can streamline the time that we need to get this business and stuff up and running. There's been a lot of trade-offs or trade-ups.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go! Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and Dayquil. Josh, can you share with listeners why you believe maybe this the story behind the Dayquil chant here? Why you think the Dayquil may be part of today's intro?
I would believe that it's because you have been consuming it on a tremendous level. In order that
it's the sip method.
Yeah, well, it's the sip method. Okay, so not a tremendous level. Just continuing to sip a Ruski.
Yeah, sip a Ruski.
Therefore, because there's no days off. There is no sick days.
There's no sick days. The thing is, they say that you shouldn't operate a motor vehicle if you had too much of this.
Right.
And you certainly shouldn't do a podcast. So if I'm slurring my words, surely we'll make our way through this. So Josh, you can kind of help keep us on the rails here.
Right. We just need to stay away from the SH starting words.
And we have a guest on today's show who's a great man. He'll help us stay on the path as well. Mark with ReNew-It Power Washing. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Clay?
Man, I am so excited to talk to you. We haven't talked really connected for a long time. Can you share with the listeners how you first had the misfortune of hearing about me and what we do over here, and just kind of share the genesis of the relationship that you don't want?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So I was kind of stuck in a dead-end job. So I've always been wanting to get out of that. Started listening to your podcasts and stuff like that. Reached out, went to my first conference in, I believe it was February of 2018. And ever since then, I was hooked.
Now, when you said you were stuck in a dead-end job, and Devin, I think a lot of listeners want to know this, and I'm certain. Who am I to skip over the deep questions?
Right.
How big of a room were you stuck in?
Well, pretty big room, to tell you the truth. We are a single-income family.
Got it.
So my wife stayed home and was homeschooling our children.
Got it.
So the rut just kind of got bigger and deeper. When you're a single income family,
yep.
You don't really have any options but to keep grinding. And I was in the oil industry, and as everybody knows, it kind of took a downturn. I was caught up, unfortunately, in some layoffs over there, and that's what really sparked me into wanting to pursue my own business.
So what's been the hardest part about implementing the things that you've learned along the way? Because, again, ideas are easy. Guy Kawasaki says ideas are easy, execution is hard. Well, who's Guy Kawasaki? That's the big marketing. He's a key Apple employee turned venture capitalist who's written several books, best-selling author. He's been on the show once. Guy Kawasaki. He says, again, ideas are easy. It's the implementation that's hard. Can you talk to me? What's been the hardest part for you to implement?
Well, probably just taking that first step. And that's kind of what led me into going to the conferences. I figured that if I had some good people in my corner and started surrounding myself with like-minded people, that I would probably have a lot better chance of accomplishing my goals.
Now, you've had some success, and I think it's very, very important that everybody out there today takes a moment to actually engage with this idea and write this down. What does success look like for you? Again, Guy Kawasaki says, ideas are easy, implementation is hard. So if you're going to go through the work of implementing, I'm going to go around the horn here, and I'm going to ask Devin, then I'm going to ask Josh, and then I'm going to let our guest Mark, chime in here. That way you can one-up everybody. But what does success look like? I mean, Josh, for you, what does it look like?
So for me, my big why, when we first met a couple years ago, my big why is my wife to quit her job. I want to go to the Masters every year, and I want to give away $1 million a year. I mean, that's it. That's success to me. I don't have some huge pie in the sky thing beyond that. That's it. To be able to spend time with family and friends, to hit a golf ball around every once in a while, maybe more times than I should. Someday, maybe somewhere closer to the 70s, but and just truly enjoy life and relationships.
Do you remember, Josh, the Beatles?
I do. I can't say that I know a lot of their music, so I'm sure this is a setup, but go right ahead, sir.
You don't remember the Beatles?
I do remember the Beatles, yes. Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. And
I ask you, I challenge.
I don't know the fourth guy.
And the thing is, no matter what you do, you fall into my trap here. I challenge you to name a Beatles song.
Imagine. Is that a song? Isn't it?
Okay. John Lennon.
Imagine all.
Now, this
that's
is
beautiful. That was right on key, too.
Darkness, she is standing right.
Let It Be.
Oh, Let It Be. Oh, okay.
Speaking words of wisdom.
I apologize, listeners. I apologize.
But I'm just saying to you, think about this for a second. Paul McCartney is not dead and was the biggest artist of his time. He introduced rock and roll to America, and most people can't name a song, and most people under the age of 25 don't know who he is. So I see a lot of men in their 50s working every single hour of every single day to leave this legacy that's going to wash away from the shores of where. I mean, come on, make a sandcastle for 50 years, then watch it wash away. I mean, so again, the legacy I think you can leave as your family, right? You can have a great family,
Absolutely.
you have a great faith, family, finance, fitness, friendship, fun. But I encourage you, because somebody out there, you do want to leave a legacy. Well, I mean, I would challenge listeners. Who was John D. Rockefeller? Please explain to me the origin of his wealth, how he got started, and give me one quote. Just give me anything he started. Most people don't know. And he was the world's wealthiest man. So I think a lot of times it's hard to leave a legacy. If you have a goal that's not attainable, it can be depressing.
Absolutely.
Your goal, though, is to do what again, Josh?
So I want my wife to quit her job, which she is there but won't do. I don't know. It's kind of a funny thing.
Does your wife work in a dead-end job?
I wouldn't say it's a dead-end job.
Does she work in an open-ended job?
It's a bigger room than the room that Mark was in. So,
Okay. Does your wife work in an opportunity festival?
No.
Why does she like her job?
She doesn't. She just likes the security of it. She's an accountant, so everything is numbers.
Okay.
So she's still there. I mean, very soon we will convince her
Okay.
that
Fine.
just deuces
Fine.
and roll
Devin's
out.
going to one-up you now because you apparently, some of the listeners are saying those are weak goals. Then Mark's going to interrupt everybody. Okay, so Devin, what are your goals?
My big goals are actually, some of them are very similar to Josh. I want to be able to play golf every day, or pretty close to it. I know whenever I first joined up with the Thrive Time show and our team, one of my big goals was to have my wife at home, homeschooling our kids and raising them at least while she can. And thankfully, we've been able to hit that goal already. So that's been a big win for us. Further down the line, I know that we want to have 2 houses.
Two houses?
2 houses.
What are you, a baller? What are you listening to Bling Bling on the way to work?
No, we actually just love the weather in Arizona during the winter a lot more than the weather here in Oklahoma during the winter.
I don't like you. You have bad goals. I like Josh. No, seriously, this is what happens, though, when you share your goals.
Sure.
People are going, well, what? I mean, just today, a guy called me and he said, do you want to speak at the Christian's Men's Breakfast or whatever? And I said, I would not, but I appreciate you asking. Why, he says. Because I have my 3 Ps. I have a goal to make a consistent profit, to be around people I like, and to make a product I'm proud to share with my mother. to make a product I'm proud to share with my mother, to work with people I like, and to make a profit. And I do all those things. So I would rather hang out with my wife or do anything than to go speak at that. But if you want to come to my conference, you can. But I appreciate you. Thank you. And he wouldn't drop it. He just will not stop it. And one of our employees saw me having this conversation. I'm like, just stop. Just your goals aren't my goals. And he's like, yeah, but we're going on a mission trip to Brazil and you need to go with me or wherever. No, I'm not going with you. I don't want to go. I think it's so important, though, Mark, that you have your goals. Devin has his. Josh has his. I think God gave us our goals. Mark, tell us maybe share with us a goal that you could share on the air.
Yeah, I mean, my goals are really pretty simple. I just want to be able to take care of my family the best that I possibly can, provide them opportunities that, maybe I didn't have or, my wife didn't have, keep them in the school system that they're in currently, and, invest as much as my time and effort into helping the school that they're in grow and, just to be able to be free. To tell you the truth, that's why we kind of started this business. It's just based on freedom. I know that kind of sounds kind of contradictory, but
it's not. It's when you say free, we live in a very troubled world where a lot of political correctness is. This is not a nude power washing business, right? When you say free, I mean, what are we talking about here?
No, definitely not that free.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. A lot of times when I'm around Devin enough, I start to things can have double meanings.
Yeah, no, definitely not that free.
Okay.
I don't think our power washing business would last very long if we showed up unclothed.
Oh.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, wow. Now, what is the name of your company? The listeners out there want to know the name of your company.
It's ReNew-It Power Washing.
And where are you located?
We are located in the greater Tulsa area. We are based out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
And what I want to do is I'm going to cue up this audio real quick. And Devin, do not look at this image. Don't look at. I'm going to cue up the audio, Devin. I want you to guess what you think this is. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to cue up the audio. I want you to tell me what you think it is, and then I'll let you look after you take a guess. All right. So Let's go ahead. Let me cue it up. Let me get the audio clip here. Okay. Let me. Got the audio on. What is it, Devin? Oh, Devin, I want you to guess because Devin, the listeners, this is a podcast, and when there's no audio from you, dead air is a bad thing. So tell me, what do you think that is?
I have no clue.
Come see, Devin.
Oh,
come see what it is.
Oh no.
Oh yes, that's what it is. It's the nude bicycle ride in Oregon.
Why
world's
couldn't I guess
boy.
No, I'm saying this to you because for a while, our show was carried in Oregon, and I thought I'm going to look up a bunch of things about Oregon. And one of the things I discovered was they have the Portland Trailblazers, got the big gardens. It's very hard to get permits to build things. It's very left of center. Rainbows are everywhere, and people are free to smoke a lot of pot. You're allowed to do assisted suicide, and they have a nude bicycle ride. Now, how is that legal? Mark, will you explain to me? You're a power washer. Explain to me, how is that possible?
I have no idea how that is possible.
Could you, seriously, I'm asking you though, Mark, could you live in a city where you knew that once a year your family, because this is right through the heart of the city, could you imagine driving your kids to school and explaining that is a bunch of naked people on a bike because it's allowed? Could you live in a city like that?
I could not.
Devin,
No
could
way.
you live in a city like that?
No.
Really?
No.
Do you find it to be, does it bother you?
Yeah.
But it doesn't bother them. Have you guys ever been to Oregon? Mark, have you been to Oregon?
I have not been to Oregon.
Josh, could you live in a city? Are you a big fan of nude bicycle rides?
I can't say that I've ever had an inkling to do so.
Well, let me share this with you. It says, for the uninitiated, the World Naked Bike Ride is officially a protest for cyclist safety, against oil dependency, and in support of body positivity. But it's best known for its colorful, carnival-like atmosphere and for filling city streets with throngs of naked bodies. This just in from OregonLive.com. And I'm saying this to say that if you're out there today and you are a sick freak and you're like, hey, buddy, I love nude bicycle riding. It is possible that your goals could be the opposite of mine. And therefore, we don't need to spend a lot of time together. That's the thing. We don't all have to coexist and agree on everything. You don't have to. You can say, I don't want to live in Oregon. So I'm going to ask you, Mark, about this, and I want to paint Josh into a corner first, and I'll come to you. What are some of the trade-offs you've had to make to achieve your goals? I mean, you think about that. I'm going to ask Devin the same thing, but we're talking about real, tangible trade-offs or trade-ups. My wife calls them trade-ups. My wife loves to, every time I say trade-off, she goes, trade-up. She loves, and trade-up is a better word. But what are some of the trade-ups where you had to trade something for the success? Because, Josh, I mean, you're having some great sales weeks.
We've been trending very, very, very well.
What's your biggest sales week of the year so far? Biggest one ever?
Our biggest week of the year was $134,000. Yeah, it was July. We had a really good month. And then we were just talking this morning, Clay, September so far, for being September, and we're really out of season, quote, unquote, September so far is pretty darn impressive.
For some reason, I have audio of Josh in the bathroom at Thrive counting his money. I don't know why you go to the bathroom to count your money, but this is the audio file that Devin sent me here. Well, apparently you were excited about the money there. But no, seriously, what kind of trade-offs did you make?
Sure. So first and foremost would be sleep. So I realized that if I wanted to achieve something, that if I wanted to go after something, that I couldn't use the excuse of not having enough time. So it was just get up earlier, go to bed earlier. And so sleep would be one. Another one would be time with family. 2017, when we got this party started, there was a whole lot of 80, 90, 100-hour weeks. I'm very fortunate now that the systems and the processes are working. The other thing was, dates with my wife. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Driving to dinner and a concert and got a call. And I asked my wife, honey, do you want me to drop you off or do you want to go with me? And we went and fixed a sprinkler system instead of going to dinner and going to a concert.
I've got audio of you fixing the sprinkler system, by the way.
It's so consistent. Like, I just sound the same all the time.
That's amazing. Well, you really enjoyed yourself.
So, but there's all those things that you look at and you determine, I like the trade up that Vanessa said. I never heard her said that, but I think that's wonderful. My wife and I, we sat down and decided, hey, we're going down this path and we're willing to sacrifice everything besides our morals and values. So if it's some time and it's a couple dinners, then we're willing to sacrifice that to get from where we were to where we are and where we want to be.
So what kind of trade-offs did you make, Mark? What are some of the trade-offs that you made?
Well, I mean, kind of basically like what Josh is saying. I mean, once you decide to commit to something to that level, there is no turning back. So once you have that in your mind that you are going to go all out, full bore into whatever you're doing, there's a lot of things that have to change. We had to kind of start looking at our friend circle and deciding, not to be, mean or anything like that, but, who are we going to start, devoting a lot of our time and stuff to, and so we can streamline the time that we need to get this business and stuff up and running. I mean, there's been a lot of trade-offs or trade-ups. Just from a financial standpoint, we've had to really, really streamline, what's going out, to make sure that we have, the money that's set aside to keep this business up and running, to buy backup equipment and stuff like that. So, I mean, we're still experiencing a lot of those.
Yeah.
We're a pretty new company, so we're still going through a lot of that. But really, the commitment level, waking up early. I mean, there's been many nights that I've been up till, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Oof. On the weekends when everybody else is out, gallivanting and have a good time. But, it's definitely worth the trade-off.
Now, I have audio of me this morning when I woke up at 3:29. You said kind of, when you go full bore. This was me boring around at when I woke up this morning, which actually was 2:59 a.m. For some reason, my alarm was set for 2:59. Who sets an alarm for 2:59? Now, 3 is normal, but 2:59 is kind of weird. This is audio of me this morning at 2:59, Devin. I'll cue it up here. This is me. Now, I've got an hour and 46 minutes of this queued up. Now, but again, when I wake up at 2:59, I don't want to get up.
What does Vanessa think about that every morning?
Let me explain to you how I wake up. Seriously, my alarm goes off, and I'm like, frick! Who set that alarm? Why would I don't want to do it. But then, when it is noon, and I have my to-do list done, I go, well done. Well done. And then you get confidence as a result of... It's a consequence. Confidence is a consequence of doing what you said you're going to do. So it's a thing. It's a process. But I want to get into your company here. This Renew Power Washing. When did you first have the idea for power washing? Were you out one day just cleaning your neighbor's house for free, and then you're like, "Wow, I should charge him for this"? Or where did the idea come from?
Well, I think it unbeknownst to me, it came about that my wife is pretty allergic to mold. So the siding of our house, like most people's houses on the north side, would get mold every year.
Yep.
And I found myself out there cleaning it up all the time. And so it kind of started sparking my interest on what else could you do around this, around this industry. And once I started looking into it, it was such a wide open industry. There were so many things that you could do. And so I just kind of started looking into it, doing some research, and some time went by. I was still working my full-time job, and I just kind of kept grinding and researching and looking up, and that's just kind of how it came about.
Now you, I don't know if you know this, but I will try not to make it melodramatic, but this is what happened, is a couple weeks ago, a series of very bad events began to occur in a row. And it always happens like in groups of 3s or 7s or 10s. It's a lot. Well, my partner, somebody threw a brick through the window of one of his businesses. That's not exciting. Then they proceeded to steal a lot of glasses and that kind of thing. And that's not a win for America, but it happened. And then we had a long-term employee who decided to get very irate that they were not promoted, and they shouldn't be promoted because one should typically be to work. If you can't string together 5 days in a row of being on time, then you probably shouldn't ask for a promotion. But after 5 years working somewhere and you decide that you want to get bitter instead of getting better, and you ask, why can't I get promoted, when you've been told repeatedly that you can't be promoted if you don't actually show up on time consistently, there was a dramatic quit and a dramatic, I can't believe I work here, that kind of thing. So 5-year relationship down the toilet, boom. Brick through the windshield, boom, or brick through the window, boom. A lot of that kind of stuff going on. And those are not positive things. We've also been asked to be on some great podcasts. That's a win. My kids are healthy. That's a win. My wife's healthy. That's a win. Making money. That's a win. Financial freedom to do what I want. That's a win. Time, by and large, to do what I want. That's a win. Have a great pool. That's a win. Anytime the Patriots play, that's a win. Win. A lot of winning. But at the same time, your email was really encouraging to me. What prompted you to send us a little thank you email? Because that was like, I rode that high. I mean, I some could say it's the Dayquil, but I've been riding that high for about a week now, maybe 2 weeks.
Well, we've been doing very good. I know in terms of other businesses and stuff, we got a lot of growth and everything to do. But I was sitting here going through some emails and sending out some estimates, and it just dawned on me that without your help and without your team's help, I would have had a very, very difficult time getting to where I am in this short amount of time. So that's kind of what sparked that. I just wanted to let you know how much we appreciated it, and it gave us the confidence, having someone like you in our corner. It gave us the confidence to go ahead and jump into this knowing that we had your support and your backing. And it just took a lot of stress with your processes and implementing. I mean, you guys did tons for us from everything. We had nothing when we started with you guys, and everything that we have and everything that we've implemented came from the Thrive Time. So I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciated it.
Well, could you share the kind of things that the team did for you?
Oh man!
And
Well,
by the way, I told my partner, I said, hey, because we got this new schedule. The man cave has been flooded for a long time. The man cave has been flooded. We just moved in, and so you're on the books ahead of time. So Dr. Z's now joining us because he's here right on time. Dr. Z, how are you, sir?
I'm fantastic.
We have a listener who claims that we've helped him with his business and he's making more money than ever before, which is why we do this.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Do we have any verification of this claim, or is this just some willy-nilly thing thrown out there?
Mark, tell us your website so we can prove that you're a thing.
It's TulsaPowerWashing.com.
Oh, there we go. Well, I
Tulsa
know all
Power
about
Washing.
them, sure. Oh, wow.
Z, to find it, if you want to find his website, just Google Nude Bicycle Rides Oregon, and you'll just find the website there. And again, what was your website domain there again, Mark?
It's TulsaPowerWashing.com.
Yeah, just Google completely, totally nude Oregon bicycle rides, and you'll find his website. Z, just trust me.
It doesn't look like tire washing at all, what you told me.
Turn the safe search off, too. Just search it up. You'll find it. Okay, now, seriously, can you explain the kind of things that you've learned from us or you've implemented just so that Dr. Z and I can know that you are, in fact, a real person?
Well, like I said, I mean, everything from like this was very brand new. It was just an idea when I came to that first conference. When I first met with your coaching staff, we started getting the content and some of the stuff written. You guys built our website. All of our Carl scripts you guys did. All of the three-legged stool, the marketing.
Yeah.
Everything that we have today was because of you guys.
Super cool.
And you're making money now.
Yes, we are definitely making money.
And your wife, can she now stay home? Is that a thing? Is that a goal that's been achieved?
Yeah, she stays home. That is correct.
Z, I got this guy's email, and you know what I do when I have to do a man tier, Z? You know what I do? I go to Atwoods.
You go to Atwoods. Yes.
That's what I do. Because at Atwoods, there's very few people there usually. I've been talking about it a lot, and I'm running into more Thrivers there. The other day I ran into 2 Thrivers there, so it's becoming a thing. But I go there, and that's where you go. See, in the parking lot of Atwoods, if you see a man crying in a Hummer, that's normal. You know, because Atwoods is where men go. Atwoods is a man's store. You go to buy chicken feed, hammers, nails, tools, and a lot of men might hit their thumb. And you know, and that's normal for them to have a little man tier in the past. See, where do you go to do your man tiers? Do you go to Atwoods?
I usually go to my man cave to do my man tiers personally.
Really?
Yeah. It's because
And when you cry, walk us through the form of how you cry. Are you a?
Well, there's different kinds of cries.
Well, let's go into the. Oh, I think we need to know. I mean, is it a lot? Is it a lot of heaving? Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it? I think we want to know.
Well, I mean, there's that deep cry. There's the deep
They call
cry.
it the wild cry.
The deep cry that you snot.
Oh.
You produce snot. You produce fluids out of your
Various
holes
orifices.
in your heads. Yes, and that's the deep cry. That's the one that you can't hardly control it. And then you have the show cry. That's the one where you are supposed to cry.
Yeah.
Someone's talked about something very sad, and they look at you. And
you don't want to cry, but you have to force a tear?
You got to kind of, it's almost stage acting crying, almost.
I mean, is somebody you know that you're related to, or someone a distant relative, not your family, other people's families.
Other people's,
where they got fired again and you knew it was coming?
Yeah.
And they're like, I just got fired?
Yeah.
And you can barely hear the phrase fired.
Right.
I got fired. And you're like, did you say fired?
Did you say fired?
And then they're like,
Yes.
And is that when you'll go, what's your move? I mean, do you use like a sprinkler system? How do you do it?
Well, you got to think of something really sad, something that would make you cry if it happened, and then then you can kind of get there emotionally.
Do you sip on water while crying to make sure the dehydration doesn't become an issue?
I don't really find that necessary personally.
Oh, really? Wow.
And then there's a soft cry, there's the medium cry, which we're going to go over, and then the deep cry, which I talked about. And the medium cry is when you really you don't get to the real deep cry, but yet it's something sad. Like they call and someone calls and says their dad died. Or someone calls and says something that really
rocks you.
You knew them. It's something that was really going to rock you. Yeah. But you don't really just process it to the deep. So the deep you don't get there very often. You're mostly the shallow kind of show cry, and then every now and then you have the real kind of man. And then if someone else is crying around you, that's like the hiccup. I mean, that's like yawning.
So talk to me about the Browns game you just watched, and when you watched their opening game and you watched your team get decimated, was it a full cry, medium? Talk to us, because these are things listeners want to know. How do you process that kind of rejection?
It was about a medium cry. It was a little bit more than the forced, and yet not quite the intensity of like losing a loved one.
Did you say, I got to get myself a beer? Or what did you say? Did you turn to prayer or beer when a team gets shellacked like
both.
that?
I prayed that I had a beer. So I guess that's the both.
Okay. So now, Mark, we're talking about your business. How did you go out there and get your first 10 customers? Because now you're doing good, and a lot of listeners are out there on the outside. See, a lot of people, according to Forbes, 67% of people want to
start their own thing.
And a lot of people are on the outside, Mark. They want to start a business, but they haven't dove in. They haven't come to a conference. You came to a conference. How did you get your first 10 customers?
Well, since the business obviously was very new, I just hit the streets. Just started talking to people. Just started going from business to business, handing out some Barbie's cookies, and just trying to kind of get the word out there. As the website and stuff was getting developed and as it started to launch, that really getting the Google stuff going and the SEO, it really started kind of driving some awareness and really just hitting the ground face to face is how we kind of got going.
Z, I've got audio of Mark here hitting the streets. Z, and then
I wanted whenever you do this, I want him to.
This is him. Kind of extreme.
Wow, that's intense.
He's hitting the street.
Wow.
All right, so is he cutting through the street? What's happening?
Wow,
let me cue it up.
That's intense.
I think we got it. He's hitting the streets.
I think it sounds more like sawing the street.
Oh, whoa. Whoops.
Whoopsie.
See, look at this. Look at this video real quick. This is Mark hitting the streets here. Look at this. This is a guy hired to come cut down someone's tree here. Doesn't look like Mark. Looks like it's not. Looks like it wasn't Mark at all. My bad. Wrong audio clip.
Audio.
Too much Dayquil.
Mark, when you really hit the streets, what did you say? Did you have a script already for that, or were you just kind of, from the hip?
Well, at first it was just kind of from the hip because it was so early on. We didn't have the scripts and stuff going. All that stuff was kind of in the process. So my main approach was just kind of letting people know that we're here.
And so what would you say? What would you say?
And what kind of separates us from the typical power washing.
Can we role play? Can we role play this? Let's have Mark knock on your door for a second.
Come knock on my door.
So Mark. What I'll do is I'll hit the knock sound, and then Z, you open the door. I'll make the door opening sound.
Oh, you get to make all the sounds.
So I'll make. There we go.
Okay.
That's a good knock. The key is a good knock. You start with a.
Oh yeah.
Or you could go. But a lot of options.
A lot of options.
How did you knock typically, Mark? I want to get that right.
It was just a good 3 firm knocks.
Okay.
Very good.
Hello. What can I do for you?
Hey, I just wanted to. My name is Mark with ReNew-It Power Washing. We're a power washing company here in the Tulsa area. We're based out of Broken Arrow, and I just want to introduce myself to see if there's anything that we might be able to help you with. If you've used power washing companies in the past, I'd kind of like to tell you what kind of separates us a little bit if you've got a few minutes.
What do you got there in your hand? What is that?
In my hand?
Yeah.
This is
I thought you said you had Barbie cookies. I thought you had Barbie cookies. I'm sorry.
Z, are you painting our guest into a corner?
No.
I did. I painted him to a corner.
Sick.
Yes, you did.
Sick.
No, I do not have any Barbie's cookies today. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
But you knocked on the door. That was your move.
Okay, then I would say, okay, power washing. What all do you power wash?
Well, we pretty much take care of any exterior surface of your house, from the top to the bottom, whether that be your roof, the siding, pool decks, patios, driveways, sidewalks, any of that type of stuff. We take care of that for you.
All right. Any call to action? Anything super sexy? Anything kind of give me a little urgency, or is it just meet and greet, knock and meet and walk on?
Well, early on, we were offering a free driveway service with any exterior service. So, if you wanted to get your house cleaned, we would go ahead and throw in your driveway and your front entryway for free.
And how did you price out how much? So if I said, okay, give me a bid for my house. What do you do? I guess you just look at how big the walls are, I would imagine, or you kind of have a good rough feel. I mean, what's the typical house go for?
Yeah, so I mean, typically we go kind of off the square footage. So if it's just the exterior of the house, we kind of go off of the square foot. If it's a full 2-story, that's obviously adding a little bit of a cost to it. If it's a partial 2-story, some of that kind of is just case by case basis, but typically we go by the square foot.
Do you have to have a square foot to do business with you?
I would hope you don't have a square foot.
Z, the guy who did the work at Elephant in the Room now has a triangle-shaped foot.
I've heard about that, I think. He cut it on a plumbing job or something, right?
Yeah, I only laugh because somebody went after me and ended up losing. But there was a guy that I hired a guy to do some plumbing. And see, how long is the statute of limitations on things? Is it 7 years, 5 years? How long, when somebody comes after you for money and then they lose, how long before you can talk about it? Is it 5 years, 7 years, 10 years?
That's a very good question. When we have Wes on next time, we'll have to ask him.
I'll talk about it and I'll ask for forgiveness later. But the point is, so we're out there doing construction at Elephant in the Room, and I hire a guy to do some construction. And the city comes in and says, you can't, do this or that. You got to drill, you got to dig a ditch.
Yeah, dig it
from A to B to bring in plumbing. You got to dig up the concrete all the way down to the dirt, man. Dig that down. So we dig all the way down to the dirt, man. There's a guy down there. So we dig all the way down to the dirt, man. And anyway, he's cutting through. The concrete with this big circular saw. Josh, did you ever use one of those big circular saws to cut through the concrete?
Oh yeah, those quickie saws are fun.
Like, and he's down there, and the plumber's down there cutting through the concrete. And all of a sudden, I hear and I'm like, what in the world? Go down there. It's a laser show of blood. It's like a sprinkler system of just shooting blood all over the walls. And a guy has cut his foot.
That's not the move.
And a guy has cut his foot into a triangular shape. And it's not funny. No one should laugh. If you're out there listening, listen, I want you to be mature about this. I don't want anybody out there. Nobody. This isn't funny.
No laughing.
But then the guy lied about having workman's comp and tried to come after me, saying, anyway. Well, they dismissed it. It's all good now. But all I'm saying, not the foot though. So I just want to be clear because some people out there do have a triangular. I'm sure that guy listens to the show a lot. Z. The triangle foot guy. I just want to be clear.
You think he knows it's him, though? I mean, because it could have been somebody else in your backyard that did that.
I'm just asking. I mean, so it's
more than one?
We're not going to get hung up on the whole square foot thing, right?
No, I don't think so at all. What would you do if you look at a house, and it's obviously a pretty good-sized house, and they don't tell you the truth about their square footage? Because you just take it on what they're saying, right?
It's 2,400
square feet. What would you say, Mark? If you come to my house, it's this huge house, I say, it's about 2,000 square feet. And you're like, what would you say?
Well,
the price per square foot just went up.
Yeah, I mean that's one approach. Typically, we don't run into any of that. Typically, people are fairly honest, but we do offer free on-site estimates, and we'd like to meet with the customer on-site, and we take all the measurements, and we get our own information, and we usually go that route rather than just
Sure.
ballpark figuring 2,000 square foot or something like that.
Yeah.
Z, I have an audio clip of what people think sales is. And then I want you to break down what you think sales is, because I think a lot of people like Mark, who are new entrepreneurs, they get hung up on sales.
Sales.
You know what I mean, Mark? You don't want to pressure people.
Sure.
And I want to make sure we get this. If you get back into the Hebrew, you look at the Bible, the word money, according to Rabbi Lapin, who we had on the show, means a certificate of appreciation. That's what it means, all right? So people are paying you to solve a problem, and if they appreciate you, they pay you. You shouldn't feel bad asking for money in exchange for goods and services. But a lot of people, when they think of sales, Z, this is what they think about. And Z, are you emotionally ready to hear this commercial?
I'm not sure. I give it 50-50.
This is a video we shot 3-4 years ago, and this is a fictitious scenario that I scripted based upon the sales techniques of a man at a mattress store, what he tried to do to me. Now, I want everyone to know this. I still today use the same mattress that my wife and I got when we were 20.
Okay.
So, but we went into a mattress store to buy a mattress, and this is the kind of sales techniques he tried. Let me cue it up here.
I'm going to beat all other competitors' prices, or I'll give you the mattress for free. How's that sound? You look good. Let's sell some mattresses. Sales for me, it's what makes the world go round, and it's my life. When I step out onto this showroom floor, it's my time to shine. It's my time to dominate. This is my Coliseum, and I'm the gladiator. So, look out. Hey! Cameron Coates, nice to meet you.
Mary.
I'll be taking care of you today. Mary?
Yes.
What a great name. That's beautiful. And you are such a vision.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Mary, what do I got to do to get you into bed today? Really, I just want to serve the people. I want to use my knowledge to better mankind. This is 100% memory foam mattress, okay, with a circle knit top. It comes from our King Arthur collection, and we call it Excalibur. Hop on up, Mary.
Oh, no, that's not necessary.
A lot of these guys out there, they're dishonest, But I believe in truth in sales. This is a limited edition, which means it's a collector's item, which means that it will appreciate in value. So really think of this mattress as an investment into your financial future. I just love making people smile, If at the end of the day I've made at least one customer smile, then I've done my job, I've succeeded. I need them to buy something as well, of course, because they don't pay me for smiles. But I would be rich if they did.
Now, a lot of people, though, when you think of sales, they immediately get into that dirty, high-pressure sales. They right away, people get a vision of, like, high pressure. How did you get over the phobia of sales? Or, Mark, have you gotten over the phobia of sales? Because a lot of people wouldn't knock on doors. They just would not do it.
Yeah. To tell you the truth, it was very difficult. Of course, we all have people come up to our doors, and we've all been on the other end of that. And so I just tried to take some of that into account. We basically just wanted to offer a service to such a high level that it spoke for itself, if that makes any sense. So as long as we could get in front of somebody and explain to somebody kind of what we've got going on and what separates us, the sales part of it started to come fairly easy once we kind of got into the groove and started to learn what people were really after.
I think if you're out there today, you have two options. One, Z, you say, you know what, I have big dreams, so does everybody else. I don't want to attend a workshop. I don't want to implement what I'm learning. Or you could be Mark. You could be the Mark Penka show here. Mark, what is it, if somebody is curious enough, courageous enough to buy a ticket to a workshop, what are they going to experience at the workshop? What was your experience like at the workshop? What did you learn? Talk to us about your experience at the workshop.
Well, I came into it, just very honest. I came into it fairly skeptical.
Good.
I've been to a few other conferences and stuff in the past.
Yep.
And it's just, the same old thing over and over and over again. So when I came into your conference, I just tried to stay as open-minded as possible. And just from the very, very beginning, you could tell that this was not the environment that you're typically used to going into other conferences. So it was very inviting. Everyone was kind of talking and hanging out. The vibe was really cool. And I learned the amount of information that was coming across to me, since I didn't have a business at that time, was pretty overwhelming. But once it kind of got into it and got going, my notepad just kept filling up. It was just unbelievable how much common sense information was in the conference.
Mark, what you talked about, you heard about it on was it the radio show or the podcast?
Well, it was the radio show at first, and then I couldn't get enough, so I just listened to podcasts over and over and over again. But the radio show originally is where I heard about it.
Can you think of one thing specifically, or one thing that comes to mind, I should say, that you heard and you said, I've got to come to this conference. I have to come to this conference. I'm going to die if I don't make it to that conference.
I can't handle it if I don't come to this conference. My brain's going to explode. I've got to come to that conference. Ah!
Well, that pretty much what just happened in the last 5 seconds is exactly why I came to the first conference. Because you could just like I said, the vibe. So I just got the impression that this was going to be fun, and you could definitely tell that Clay and UZ were in it to truly help people, and that's kind of what really got me heading in the right direction.
One thing that's really weird about our conference is we had 26 people reach out to buy a ticket in the past. Devin, you were in the meeting. I think the number was 26. I think she said the number was 26 people reached out, and just this past week. And I think I only allowed 4 people to buy a ticket, and it's because we don't teach ClickFunnels, we don't teach get rich quick, and we don't teach that, and that's what they want. A lot of people want that. And if you're hearing the words coming out of my mouth right now and you have a real business and you want to grow a real business or start one, we're the fit. But explain to the listeners the other conferences, because I have been to those before where I'm the one guy in the conference who actually has a business and everybody else is like, what are your steps for getting rich in like a week? Can you walk me through the other conferences, Mark? Because that's been the hardest thing for me, because, man, there's a temptation when someone says, I want to pay you. Yeah. And then they show up at the conference, and I can tell you so far I only know of 2 people who've attended the workshops who are psychologically impaired. 2 people so far who were just out of their freaking mind. And, man, nothing's worse than having somebody at a conference asking stupid questions such as, I just want to automate my wealth. What's the best way to make wealth without working? I hate those kinds of questions. What kind of I'm not asking you to name the conferences, but talk to me about the flavor of the other conferences and maybe contrast, because maybe some of our listeners have only been to the bad conferences, or maybe they haven't been to a bad. I just want to tap into your wisdom there.
Well, very uncomfortable. I'll tell you that, because what I was looking for legitimate information, implement something that you could actually implement. And the conferences and stuff that I have gone to with other employers and stuff like that, it was just emotional stuff and scenarios and all this, and it just didn't get down to the nitty gritty of anything practical. So your conference was night and day difference when it came to actually something you could actually implement and a process that you could actually follow. And that's what I was really looking for. I didn't need anybody to tell me, go get them, Tiger. I needed someone to help me funnel my energy and my drive into the right area. You need to learn how to get the Tiger, right? Not the encouragement to go do it, but the actual steps to get the Tiger. Right. Yeah.
So you were sufficiently motivated, and now you just needed to know what to do. Josh, can you relate to that? Is that been your experience, or did you? Because we do have elements of motivation. I would say it's probably 5% of the conversation.
Sure.
Maybe more than what I want to do, because what happens is if I go into motivational mode, man, I pack it out, and it's and people who are not my people, they're like, woo! I'm like, no, you cannot leave my conference being fired up and then not. I hate when people leave a church service or a conference and they go, woo! And you go, now what are you going to do as a result of that? That's called a movie. Go watch a movie. I'm not a movie. You know what I mean?
You're not?
Yeah, you provide the action items. You provide the steps and the proven path of which, hey, Mark, one thing you didn't mention at the conference, at what point did they upsell you the master class for the $50,000?
You can become a coach in my magic system.
Or what was the ClickFunnel for $18,000? Or when did that happen?
When did that happen? When did we do that?
Well, I've been to 3 conferences up to this point, and that has never happened.
Oh. So Oh, at the Thrive Conference, there is not a big upsell?
How many times have you been asked this, Josh, about me? People that you know who've asked me, what's his catch? What's the scam?
It's what's your play or what's your what's
your move?
What's he really trying to do? And
it's a really long scam.
Yeah.
See?
It's the long game. Like, see, what I'm not aware of is that year four, he's going to hit me with the, okay, Josh, I know I have none of your financial information, and I know that I don't know your social, but now you owe me $4.7 million. So I think that's the move, year four.
That's year four.
Year four.
It's called the 4-year move.
Right.
The 4-year move.
It's a thing.
I'm taking notes here, guys. I need to start doing the 4-year move.
But all the time, people come up to me and be like, "Oh, well, he's just a snake oil salesman, or he's just trying to steal your company, or oh, he's not true. It doesn't work." And I'm like, "Well, look at where we're at. I don't know what else to tell you."
I'm not asking you to share on the show, Mark, how much money you're making now, but are you making more than when you came to the conference?
Significantly more, yes.
Yes.
Can I ask you, let me just ask you this. If you could, and I'm not asking for this hard number, but you bought a ticket, did you leave a review and buy a ticket for $37, or did you pay $250 or $500? How much did you pay for the ticket? Do you remember?
Well, actually, my first conference was on you, actually.
Okay.
When I did the review, you were doing a thing at that time that if
you did the reviews?
I don't exactly remember how. Yeah, I think it's if you did the review on the podcast.
So probably a Paul Hood sponsorship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I got into my first one.
So you came to the thing, and so you're telling, if let's say you had bought a ticket for $1,000, have you got a 10-time return on that ticket? So let's just say you did buy a ticket for $1,000. Did you get a 10-time return?
Yes.
Let's say you bought a ticket, because the tickets are $250.
Yeah.
Could you say you got a 25 times return on that ticket?
That's just math. Yeah.
Yes.
50? Maybe 100?
We're not quite. I'm not quite to 100. Yeah, I would say I would almost. No, we're not quite to 100.
There's a guy at the conference who pulled me aside who told me that he got a 1,000-time return on his ticket. And he laid out how, and it's crazy.
Nice.
True story.
So good.
Guy from New Orleans.
I love that.
1,000-time return. He goes, I bought a ticket for $250. He goes, I've literally cleared $2.5 million of profit as a result of implementing what you taught me. True story.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just telling you, if you're out there, Z, you own real businesses.
We own real businesses. Oh,
What?
yes, we do.
What?
We own real businesses.
Why would we take time out of our schedule? If you're out there today, let me say
you'll
this.
See
if you're out there today, oh, here comes our next guest. We've got Bucky joining us on the show here. Bucky, welcome into the studio. Devin, I'm going to have Bucky take your mic real fast here. And Mark, how long do we have you, by the way? Because I think I talked to you about a half-hour interview. I think we're about 1 hour into our half-hour interview, so I just want to respect your time. Do we have you for a few more minutes, or not so much?
No, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, I have one final question for you, because we've got Bucky here. And Bucky, can you tell the Thrive Nation what you do for a living?
Yes, thanks, Clay. Hey, my name's Bucky Cordray. I'm the founder of Top Dollar Home Offer. We buy properties across the Tulsa Metro.
So you are a guy who, and by the way, that mic is like a super sensitive mic, so you just kind of eat that thing. So people who are distressed and they need to sell their house, you buy those houses?
That's correct, Clay. So we help distressed sellers when they're faced with foreclosure, where they're faced with having to move out of state quickly. Whatever crisis situation they're in, we can go in and help them get the top dollar for their home.
Who's kind of like you? Like, is there another business in town that's kind of like your business?
Yeah, there's several companies in town. There's We Buy Ugly Houses. There's some others that are out there that pop up every now and then, but they go away pretty quick.
Now, Mark, you're kind of you're a super success story, and you're an entrepreneur. What time did you wake up there, Mark, today?
I was up at about 4:45 this morning.
Bucky, what time are you waking up, buddy?
So I used to wake up at 5. Now I've figured out what's the difference between 4 and 5, so I'm waking up at 4:30 now.
And Josh, what time did you wake up?
This morning it was 4:30. No, actually it was a little bit. It was like 4:27. I beat the alarm clock this morning.
Now, Z, do you remember the days where you used to have to burn the midnight oil? And you remember the days where you were working 7 days a week, boss?
I remember those days as if they were, yesterday.
Can you share with us what it's like to be on the other side, where you're not waking up at 4?
I was waiting for you to ask me what time.
I want you to talk about that. What time did you wake up there, Chief?
Whenever I want to.
All right. But I mean, do you remember when, because you used to have that I didn't see it, I heard about it, but you had a to-do list with that 9-point, 10-point handwritten font right there.
It was fun.
You were the czar of the details, the master master of the follow-up 7 days a week. Now you're enjoying a little bit of sleep, Z?
Yeah.
You're getting a harvest? What the crap? You're reaping a harvest?
And I was always kind of the night owl. I know you're the early morning lark. I was always
you put
the
in your
night
time.
owl. You got to grind, 16 hours a day anyway, so you get to pick them. That's the nice thing about being an entrepreneur, right? You get to pick the 80 hours a week you work.
There it is.
Right?
There it is.
And so for me, it was the grind and the stick-to-itness and knowing that if I didn't get it done, no one was going to. Now, it's different because now I've empowered. At first I had a job that I worked for myself, but it was still a job. And now I own a business where I make a lot of other people have jobs.
So you're telling me that you pay your managers very well to deal with the crap that you don't want to deal with?
Amen.
Come on.
I know it sounds ridiculous.
But couldn't you keep more profits if you did all the work yourself?
Absolutely.
Can I ask you, Josh, you can ask Z any question you want.
Yes.
Mark, you can ask any question, and then Bucky, you can as well. And then Bucky's going to be on our next show as well. So we're going to open it up where everybody can interrogate Dr. Z. So we'll start with you, Mark. Any question that you have for Dr. Z at all, and Z, can we go to anything, or are there certain areas we can't go here? We can say any question?
Any question.
Okay, and if he doesn't like the question, we'll hang up on you. Here we go.
I'll just throw
any question, but we'll hang up on you if we don't like it. Go for it there, Mark.
So I guess my biggest question right now where I'm at in my business, at what point did you know that you needed to start bringing people on to kind of start getting some of that work load off of you?
Well, I tell you what, there's two ways to know that. One, are you working enough for yourself? And two, are there things you're not getting done because you're working so much for yourself? And what I mean by that is that there was a time frame when I was 7 days a week, and after about 2 years of that, I said, a Saturday would be kind of fun to watch a little college football and hang out, and maybe a Sunday here or there. And so plus I was working. I built up my business enough to where I could carve out some money, and hire someone in for that day, and then have a day. And so that's what I did. So every year or two,
you bought your time back.
I would buy another day back. And so I went to 6 days, and I did that for a year or so. Then I went to 5 days, did that for a couple, 3 years, because that felt kind of what was supposed to be normal,
When you bought your time back, what percentage, is a pie chart, what percentage of your time did you spend doing calf raises? You've got some great calves.
Oh, all day. I'm doing them right now. I mean, I just kind of... Since you called me out on that so many times, I can't go anywhere where someone's not inspecting my calves.
I'm just saying, I mean, I actually, if it's okay, I was actually, I shouldn't do this, but the other day I was miking you and you're walking by.
Yes.
And this is actually your calves walking by. It's like an impressive.
What?
This is your calves.
Yeah. Oh.
It's impressive.
That isn't.
Your calves make a cow sound. It's impressive.
Well, a calf is a young cow. By the way.
That's just in from our home office.
That's just your home office. Well, it's just like you can't go anywhere where people staring at how large your brain, how large your
when
head
you have
is.
size 14 hat, people ask questions.
Are young kids still scared by it? Or
Let me tell you this.
Over that?
When I walk into rooms, we just finished the man cave here, and Bucky can attest. It was a standard size door would work, but we had to widen it out so my cranium could fit in the door.
French doors there. I know you got French doors.
It's an incredible cranium. So I feel that knowledge in there. See,
you've got to keep it somewhere.
Okay.
So that answers your question, Mark. So what you do is that whenever you wake up and you work for the day, if you didn't get everything done you needed to, then yes, you probably need to start bringing somebody on board. Part-time at first if you can. Sometimes a family member is really good to kind of bring them on because they work for not a lot, and then they can be real flexible. But at some point you need to hire someone full-time to come in.
He's endorsing, by the way. What he's really saying is hire family slave labor. Is that what you're saying? Are you advocating that? Is that what you're doing?
Trying to put together tennis shoes, and then you get child labor. They're friends. You say, "Hey,
see, I'm 7.
We're gonna have a tennis shoe party. Invite all your friends over this weekend." What's that?
How long does your 7-year-old cousin need to continue doing his roofing job? Okay, now, Josh, you're
yes,
kind of. If I could describe this, Mark, just to give some context to you and the listeners, Josh is in the stupid, repetitive tasks phase of his company, where he's in orbit. It's like this. When you want to go to space, I've never been to space, but this is how you go to space. They put the rocket. It's a huge vehicle, and it's standing vertically.
Yes.
And they go,
and 10, 9, 8.
Yes,
It's kind of a Nordic almost thing.
10, 9, 8.
And it's always
Bjorn,
somebody sounds
here
like
we
that.
go.
Oh my
Houston,
God.
and then
and it's just tons of fire and fuel, and it's wild how much fuel and energy it takes. But then once you get up there, it's like we're eating space ice cream. We're floating around. There's no. It's kind of
baby
easy,
thrusters now.
Easier. Josh, you're kind of in that phase where you're up there now.
Sure.
And you gotta be. I mean, my clients always tell me this. They say, "I'm getting bored." And I'm like, this happens every single time. I said, what do you mean? Like, I'll work with an orthodontist for 8 years, 7 years, a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, and they'll go, I got to ask you, I'm bored. What do you do now? I'm like, what do you mean you're bored? They go, well, I just do the same thing, and I make a ton of money, and I have all the time freedom in the world. I got nothing. One of my clients told me he went canoeing, and I'm like, why? He's like, I don't know. Look for somebody. I'm like, you went canoeing during the middle of your workday? Oh, yeah, down the Illinois. Like, there
you go.
How was it? I don't know. I feel like I should be working or something. I mean, seriously. So I want to ask, you're in that phase right now where you almost feel guilty almost about a certain level of financial freedom. Do you have any questions for Z about that? The stupid repetitive tasks, maybe boredom, maybe you're not bored. I don't know.
Sure. So my question for you, Z, and you kind of touched on it a minute ago, but I think it's really good for a lot of listeners out there. I struggled with this horribly bad, and it's kind of sort of what Mark was asking. What is the difference between owning a job and owning a business? The working in the business and the working on the business?
Well, I think that two of it's the attitude. And you're always going to be working on a higher level. If you own a business, you should always be inspecting what you expect. And that's work. And so you should always be long-range dreaming, planning. That's work. But you do that on your schedule. You do that on your time. Someone said, I told someone the other day, I said, well, I finally took a job. And they said, what? And I said, yeah, I have a job now. And they said, oh, my gosh. And a job, as I define it, is you have to be somewhere at a certain time for a certain length of time doing a certain thing. And doing this radio show is my only job. Right?
This is true.
I own 8 businesses now.
Can you real quick? I know you don't want to do this, but I would like for you, because some of the listeners don't know this. Can you please explain the businesses you own so people understand some sort of context, or the businesses that you're invested in some kind, so people just can have a little context here?
Well, my first one was an optometry clinic.
Got it.
I've got 8 doctors that work for me, and I have
your
2
knowledge
locations
of the cornea
here.
is amazing.
Thank you very much. And your retinas look really, really good.
I love your retina.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful cornea.
Thank you.
Wow,
Thank
your
you.
pupil's amazing.
Thank you. I'm blushing, and I'm going to do a few more calf raises.
Okay, continue.
Number 2, I have an auto auction where it's a dealers only auto auction called Z66.
You sell
auto
to used
auction.
car dealers?
Yes.
Okay, dealers only.
Dealers only. You have to have a dealer's license to purchase. Anybody can sell their car through my auction, but you have to have a dealer's license to come and buy said cars.
That clears it up. Okay.
Yeah, and we do about 1,000 cars a week and about 600 plus or minus.
Maybe give us a
dealers
couple
certified.
more businesses.
Okay. Then I have a sleep center, diagnostic sleep center called Dr. Z's Sleep Center. You get that?
And you actually, one point, a guy came to you and said, hey, would you like to deposit some money at my bank? I believe the bank was Grand Bank.
Yeah, and I said, no, let's go buy a bank. So we did. We went and bought a bank. And
sure,
that's
you
been
go buy a bank.
fun.
That makes sense.
Learning all that process.
Why would you not buy a bank?
Right. And then what's really fun is when you get some business, you can kind of vertically integrate with them. And what I mean by that is with the sleep center, we were sending a lot of patients out with sleep apnea to get a CPAP machine. So then we went and started up a DME company, durable medical equipment company, and have a CPAP machines. Is that enough, or do you want to keep going?
I feel like the listeners out there, now we have some context. You got a lot going on.
Yes.
And I feel like there's got to be, because Josh, you're in that phase where we're no longer worried about being able to make payroll, and we're not stressed out of our mind all the time. There's a certain addiction to that. But do you ever feel bad, like your life's not harder right now? Or do you ever find yourself feeling bad about having too much money in your bank account? Or do you ever feel, seriously, these are things clients will tell me. They're like, I feel bad.
So I honestly, what gets me is I feel horrible for not picking up a shovel anymore. And I'm dead serious about this. Like, there's a lot of days when I'm out with the guys and it's 115 and I just got out of the air-conditioned truck. And I'm like, man, I got to get back in the air-conditioned truck. So there are moments when I actually sincerely miss that, the being muddy, the digging ditches.
Sure.
And so that's been the awkward transition for me. It's been great to be working on the business, to be spending my time on, hey, what do we need to fix? What do we need to improve? What will we continue to day in, day out, make sure that we're executing and doing well at? But there's the days I feel bad when I see my guys come into the shop and I'm like, oh man, I gotta go roll around the dirt real quick because I'm completely spotlessly clean.
Well, the good thing is that just like with me back in the day, I remember when I stopped seeing patients on a daily basis. Every now and then I'd just, with the wild hair, pop into an exam room. And it was fun, and I enjoyed it. And I didn't feel like I needed to or had to, but yet it was fun, and I missed it at times. As I've gotten further away from it, I don't miss it as much. But it's still, it's probably been years since I've done that. It always freaks out my staff when I do that. Show up here in scrubs, and they're like, oh, my God, what's he doing now?
Do you have an itch at all now to go do an eye exam?
No, I don't. In fact, I had one of my relatives were like, hey, can I swing in for an eye exam? I'm like, dude, really? I do like one a year, and these guys are doing, 100 a day. I mean, who are you going to? I'd get one from them before I get one from me, so. But, no, it's kind of fun, but you have the skill sets, and every now and then I'll, you just like with you, if you want to do it, you can. And that's not the job. That's just the ability to go and do that because you own the business. And so, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did, Dr. Zoellner. Yeah.
I have a audio of the last optometry appointment you were in.
Oh, good.
Now, this could be the right file, or it might not be. That's the thing. There's a lot of miscommunication.
You have a lot of recorded moments. So.
Well, I asked Devin. I said, Devin, could you give me the audio file? And it turns out he wasn't there.
Oh, all right.
So it's you don't know, it's like
these production assistants, they're difficult.
The details. Good ones Let me cue up what I think to be the audio clip that I grabbed off of his computer of your last appointment here. Let me cue
Right, Lucy, these are your brain scans here. I'm afraid they show no improvement. The temporal lobe was severely damaged in the accident. But what we believe is the scar tissue here is impairing your ability to convert short-term memory into...
Z, what was that meeting about?
Well, I often will. The eyes are connected to the brain, and so the head, the houses said eyes, and so you got to kind of be. Sometimes you got to kind of work on some situations.
Okay, now Bucky, you're a guy. If anybody's out there is listening right now, and you have a house, and you need to sell your house, that's what you do.
Bucky, may I ask you a personal question before we get started? May I ask you one?
Yes, absolutely.
What is your given name?
It's Bucky. Bucky Ray, actually.
Is it really? Yes. I think you're the first Bucky that I've actually met that was actually named Bucky.
That's right.
Really?
Oh, I think so. How about you? Do you know any other Buckies?
I do.
Oh, well, you're no fun. Josh, how many Buckies do you
I can sincerely say this is the first one for me.
Devin, how many Buckies do you know? None? No, okay. Well, okay. There we go, Bucky. Now you may ask your question.
So Clay one-upped us. He one-upped us.
We just had a moment. Let me just...
Of course. Clay
let me smoke for a second.
Clay knows a lot of men. He's met them all around the world.
Whoa.
I met a Bucky once at a truck stop.
Whoa. Okay. So now, Bucky, what question do you have for Dr. Zoellner? Any question at all? No, I'll go back to Mark one last time.
All right, Dr. Z, I have a great question for you. You've got a lot of different businesses, right? And part of that business, growing a business, is networking. What's the first question you ask somebody that you want to get to know when you're networking?
What's your name? No, I think a lot of times when you're out networking and you're networking as a business building modality, you have to be ready. I think it's very important for you to be ready to answer the questions you're getting ready to ask, because that's human nature, right? When you're asking somebody, what do? You respectively want them to ask you back, what do you do, right? So one of the things that you need to do when you're playing that game is what questions do you want to answer, because typically they come back with whatever you're asking them, okay? And you need to make sure you have your elevator pitch really, really spot on here. In other words, I knew a guy once that sold life insurance. And so he'd be networking and, hey, how are you? How are you doing? What's your name? What do you do? You from around here? What do you do? Oh, yeah. What do I do? Well, I make people's dreams come true. So what you're doing in an elevator pitch, you don't just start off with, I buy ugly homes. I help people out that are we can work on your elevator pitch, and I'm not sure if you have one, but you know what I'm saying? That you take them to the next level of curiosity. They're like, well, what does that mean? What do you mean? Like for him, it was, what do you mean you secure dreams? Well, when people...
and I'm going to tell you moves for networking that are really specific and really powerful. Step one is buy a Lamborghini. Currington did that move. I'm being serious. He was unemployed. And he's a mortgage guy, and he said, I want to buy a Lamborghini. And I can tell you, when he pulls up to a networking event, let's just say you went out and got a car payment for a Lamborghini. Okay. I don't know what that costs, but everybody wants to talk to the Lamborghini guy. It's crazy, Z. And Steve will tell you.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, man, what do you do for a living? Every time.
I feel like there should be a disclaimer there that says the Thrive Time Show does not support everyone buying a Lamborghini.
I'm just saying.
Oh, we do. That's awesome.
See, let's do it.
Well, you make a mark. You make a show. You come in with a loud colored shirt on, and you come in with a big fancy car. You come in with something.
There you go.
No, you stand out. You stand out in the crowd in these networking deals. But the first question I would ask if I'm wanting to build my business and try to gather them up is you always want to listen and be curious about them. You want to make sure that you show interest in them, and you want to talk about them. You want to repeat their name to them, several times so you get that. It's the most annoying thing in the world for someone to ask you their name. You tell them, and then they never use it and they forget it right then. So repeat that name, as much as you can, and build that rapport with them, and act genuinely interested in whatever they tell you and whatever they're doing.
So step one, go there and be memorable in some capacity. Find some way, whether it's dressing uniquely or having a bizarre car or sponsoring the table. Do something so you stand out.
Correct.
2, think through the questions ahead of time. So when I ran the DJ business, I would send all my guys to the chamber events with me. And we did it because we couldn't afford any other kind of advertising.
Right.
But the question was, so what do you do for a living? And they would say, I'm a realtor. And this might sound harsh, but this is what we would do. Okay, great. And then they'd say, what do you do? They said, we're disc jockeys. We take your events from ordinary to, awesome. It's extraordinary. Do you know of anybody getting married? Are you getting married? Do you have a big party coming up? And if they said no, we'd ghost. No, that's not a life tip, but it was very effective. Because in a room of like 500 people, there's usually 3 to 5 people getting married or planning a party. So we'd say, are you getting married or planning a party? And they'd say, yeah. Seriously, about 3 out of 500 people would say yes. And I had enough guys there that we would book them. But my first win, I would have like very thoughtful conversations with a guy who's like 85, like Father Time and I are talking.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, Sonny, the Federal Reserve, it's not federal and there's no reserve. And I'm like, wow. 40 minutes go by, I got no bookings. I got nothing. Yeah. So I think it's important to sort too. Have that elevator pitch and sort. Mark, I want to ask you because I want to let you go and go back to doing awesome, great things. And I appreciate you so much for telling us the impact the conferences have had on your life. It means the world to Z and I. Is there a final question you have for Dr. Z? You could ask him about his rash, his calves, his a workout routine for just the calves only. Any body questions? See, you're really into the body. Any body questions?
Into the body. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize I was so into my body.
Orifices for 500, Alex. What questions do you have there, Mark?
Well, my biggest question was what I asked earlier as far as when do you know to hire anybody. I guess my second question would be, is there a certain percentage of money you should have set back before you start looking to hire somebody, or do you base it on, if I put another rig together and I hired a couple guys and they could generate X amount of dollars, that it'd be worth it? Or is there any more insight along those lines you might be able to give?
So let's talk about that saving money. I think the question is how much money should we save before we start hiring?
Yeah, you should always be building your war chest. Always build your war chest. And what I mean by that is going to war is hiring people too. Going to war is doing a marketing campaign. Going to war is getting a new truck. Going to war is spending that money on something that helps your business. And so if your war chest is at 0, you ain't there to you're at 0 chance of hiring somebody else. And if you think, well, gosh, I'll make it up because now they'll be on the streets. You don't want to stress your business. You want to make sure, okay, if you're rolling and you're making money, you should be saving. Oh, you're not saving. That means you're not living below your means.
This is audio of me as a young man trying to lead my young DJ army into war without a war chest yet.
Oh,
I was like 19 years old.
How'd that work out?
Let me cue it up real quick. This is what happened is we didn't have a lot of wins going yet.
Oh yeah.
This is a true part of our business, Mark. I couldn't get the guys to make cold calls. I have pictures of it on the wall at the office. But I said, every time you get a rejection, I'll give you a beer. They're like,
okay.
All right. Because we couldn't get them on the phone. And they're saying, like, yes. So they would get hung up on. Like, I swear I got hung up on. Listen to this call, baby.
Yeah.
Boom. So we're drunk as a skunk before 11 every day. Every
day.
Every day. But this was me trying to fire up the guys. I get it. Could be the wrong file. I don't know, Z. Sometimes I get confused. There's just so many good audio files. So far, I'm like 0 for 12 today. But let me cue it up here. Here we go.
Hey! War's over, man. Wormer dropped the big one.
What?
What?
Over? Did you say over?
Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
German? Forget it, he's rolling.
There it is.
Forget it, he's
That's
rolling.
what happens. No one's going to follow you when you don't have any money in that war
When you
chest.
don't have any money. So you want to make sure you're saving some money. And if you're not saving money, you need to take a really good, hard look at that. And sometimes, some people, when they start making a little bit of money, they go out and they spend it. And that's natural. That's natural.
It's natural.
But realize this, that's going to slow down your growth. I'm not saying to not go out there and have yourself a nice steak dinner.
For $3,658 a month, you too can have a Lamborghini Huracan, a $203,000 vehicle at a 3.11 interest rate, 60 low payments.
60 low payments
Step
every
one.
month.
Buy a Lamborghini.
Every month.
Step one.
I got to do some businesses this
Gotta
next
sell
conference.
some stuff. Okay.
Does that answer your question, Mark? So you want to make sure you have some money and you're dealing out of strength. And I think so many people stress their business early on. I think that's why a lot of them, or some of them, fail. There's Forbes reports that somewhere between 8 and 9 out of 10 businesses fail.
Rough.
And that's just horrible. And I think a lot of it, people try to grow maybe too fast. They try to, like you're saying, hire somebody. There's a young man that started a high-end men's clothing store. And it was pretty swanky. He invited me over. I was like, oh, that's pretty nice. Pretty
Looks
cool.
hot.
Yeah,
Sexy.
looks hot.
Wow.
And we talked and whatnot and this and that and this and that. And then next thing you know, I see him a few months later and I go, hey, how's everything going? Well, I'm going to have to shut it down.
Shut it down.
I'm going to shut it down. And I'm like, well, why are you having to shut it down? He goes, well, it's hard to find people and I can't really afford them on the weekends. And so I really, and then, I found out that, I had some of them kind of stealing from me and I had this and that and this and that. I go, whoa, what are you doing on the weekends? Oh, I like going to the lake. I mean,
I'm a lake guy.
Weekends are lake time, baby. You know that.
And you said, well, hey, so
I got to hit Party Cove, baby. Come on.
So you're saying that a tip for success, a tip to fail in business, tip one would be don't put in the work. And we've got a lot of tips. See, let's skip to tip 8 to make your business fail. Let me cue it up here. This is your tip 8. You always share it at conferences. Incredible.
It's incredible.
Tip.
It's incredible.
If you want to fail, this is tip 8.
Probably my best tip is tip number 8. Always keep bags of your own poop. Collect it throughout your stay and just have it ready.
Have it ready, man.
Just have it ready. All right.
Ron Burgundy.
Z, I appreciate you allowing me to harass you on today's show. It's great to be back in the cave.
It is. It feels like we never left. And yet
Mark.
It feels so different in here, too.
It feels like Mark's on the phone.
It feels like
Mark, I appreciate you being here, man. I really do appreciate you. Hopefully you had a good time today.
Yes, I did. Thank you very much for having me, Clay. I appreciate it.
And Bucky, what's your website? Where can people learn more about your website, Bucky?
TopDollarHomeoffer.com.
If you need to sell your house quick, check it out again. The website is what?
TopDollarHomeoffer.com.
You're not going to
give a range of homes you buy, or do you buy any range?
Any range.
Really cool. Okay.
He's a free range home buyer. He's organic.
He's organic. He's GMO. He's GMO free. Are you gluten free too?
No.
Okay. He's not
he doesn't look gluten free. He looks like he's
loaded up on gluten.
He's big into protein, gluten. He's an American. Okay. He likes weapons and guns and gold.
Probably has a loaf of bread in his car.
No, Mark, this is a shameless business show, so we shamelessly self-promote. Mark, what's your website, my friend?
It's TulsaPowerwashing.com.
Z, is it okay if I give a harsh commercial for TulsaPowerwashing.com? Like one of the commercials where people go, are you kidding me?
I feel like to do that name, you need to do it like with an Arnold Schwarzenegger accent.
Well, let me do this. I'm going to queue up. I'm going to queue up my. This is the theme. Mark hasn't asked me to make a commercial for him, but this is. And again, the website. What's the website again?
TulsaPowerwashing.com.
Okay, here we go. Unless you love Mussolini, Stalin, Kim Jong-un,
Putin,
you got to go Putin. You got to go check it. What's the website again there, Mark? What's the website?
TulsaPowerwashing.com.
Now, if you hate kids and families and strong roads and schools, you don't need to go to, what was that website again?
TulsaPowerwashing.com.
Yeah, if you want to have a horrible country and throw your life away and embrace the communist red flag and hang out with the dirty Chinese who are destroying our currency, then you do not need to go. What was the website?
TulsaPowerwashing.com.
Now, again, if you hate your family, you don't need to go to the website. If you hate your kids, if you believe in dirty roads and dirty schools, and see, if you want to cut funding from schools, you hate kids, you don't need to go to that website.
You don't need to go to TulsaPowerwashing.com where they will pump you up.
If you like a dirty house, like you like a dirty wife, in a dirty car, in a dirty country, in dirty schools, and dirty kids with dirty faces, poor, dirtiness. You do not need to go to, what was that website again?
TulsaPowerwashing.com.
There it is, Steve.
There it is. I think that's.
I think we've
a call to action. Right
that's
there.
A call to action.
You better free up the internet around your house, there, Mark. It's going to get popping.
Okay, Josh with Living Water Irrigation. We appreciate you. Let's end this show with a boom. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom.
Boom.
Thanks a lot, Mark. I appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Awesome. I really appreciate it, Clay. Thank you
take care, dude. See you, man. Bye.
All right. Bye.